Good evening. Welcome to the Costa Mesa Planning Commission meeting for Monday, August 22nd, 2022. I call the meeting to order and ask you to join Commissioner Vivar, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Vivar. Anna, roll call, please.
Chair D'Erical,
Here.
Vice Chair Zick,
Here.
Commissioner Rojas.
Here.
Please note Commissioner Rojas is present via Zoom. Commissioner Toller.
Here.
Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Vivar.
Here.
Commissioner Arith.
Present.
Please note Commissioner Arith is present via Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. We have an announcement tonight. We have an agenda change announcement relative to public hearing item number 2, 170 East 17th Street public hearing, and I will let Ms. Lee explain the change needed.
Thank you, Chair. Staff received a request from the applicant this evening to continue this item to a date uncertain. Staff will renotice the item when it is agendized in the future.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lee. Commissioners, the chair is going to make a motion to continue public hearing item number 1, planning application 21-8, no, I'm sorry, planning application number 2, public hearing item number 2, rather, planning application 21-29 for retail cannabis storefront business located at 170 East 17th Street, suites 115 and 16 to a date uncertain.
Second.
There's a motion by the chair to continue, seconded by the vice chair. Roll call vote, please, Anna. Aye.
Chair D'Erical,
Aye.
Vice Chair Zick,
Aye.
Commissioner Rojas,
Aye.
Commissioner Toller,
Aye.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Commissioner Vivar,
Aye.
Commissioner Arith.
Yes.
That motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you. And for members of the public, that item will be renoticed out to you when the date is established for that public hearing. As for now, it's been continued to a date uncertain. So apologize for the inconvenience coming out tonight, but it was a request of the applicant, and we'll renotice that meeting when the date is set. Okay, thank you. Okay, this brings us to public comment. This is the time of the meeting when we receive public comment from members of the public, either in the chambers or via Zoom, on telephone, on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission but are not on tonight's agenda. Each member of the community will have 3 minutes to speak. And if you want to speak tonight, please come to either podium. Again, this is for items not on tonight's agenda. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to be here about the 12 at 140 17th Street again. So I got their CUP from 1992. So we're going to go to page 11 of their CUP, number 3. Approval shall be a period of 1 year. Prior to the expiration, applicant may request renewal, subject to reevaluation at that time. The Development Service Director may extend the planning actions for a period not to extend 2 years if any conditions of approval haven't been satisfied. No complaints have been received, and the site inspection reveals compliance with the applicable ordinance requirements. Therefore, the Development Services Director may extend the permit to successive 2-year periods under the same terms. Can't find anything, 1992. 30 years old, can't find any backup documents. Somebody is working with me. His name is Jeffrey Raimondo. But we want to point out number 4 too. Number 4 says there shall be no group aerobic classes conducted. So let's do the definition of aerobics. It's defined as a system of endurancing exercises that promotes cardiovascular exercise by producing and sustaining an elevated heart rate for a prolonged period of time. Okay, so they're over there pumping their bass to get their heartbeat up. They're getting the whole the whole neighborhood can hear it. I've got at least 4 pages of this is just noise complaints of the last 2 years from the gym. And I'm just requesting that we can really shut this gym up, especially at 5 a.m. They've kind of calmed it down a little bit, but for 2 years solid, nothing but the gym, 5 a.m., nothing. And at 4:15 at night, they start bumping it up again to at least 9 p.m. All I want to do is come home, be able to sit outside of my house and not have to listen to boom, 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 or boom, whichever bass they feel like for the evening, please.
Ma'am, could you remind me what the address is of that?
140 17th Street, the 12, the gym.
Okay, thank you.
And there's plenty of noise ordinance.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else in chambers wish to speak this evening during public comment? Okay, seeing no one, Anna, do we have anyone on Zoom or by telephone?
No, we do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll close public comment, and that will take us to commissioner comments. We'll begin tonight with Commissioner Areth. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair D'Erical, and good evening to the rest of the Planning Commission and the folks who are joining us this evening. First off, I'd like to start by thanking staff for all their help. I think I say this all the time, but their help really is pivotal in helping us reach our goals and making determinations. So thank you, Scott, Jennifer, and everyone else in the planning division. I will also bring up some, I think, pretty exciting news. No doubt some of you read in the Register and the LA Times that John Wayne Airport just started its Fly Friendly program, which is aimed at lowering the noise emissions coming out of the departure corridor for the general aviation jets at the airport. And I have to say, it was one of the best projects I've ever helped lead and been a part of when I was the Orange County Sustainability and Transportation Policy Advisor at the Board of Supervisors last year. And I'm really, really happy to see that they finally put it on the ground. So if you have any interest in looking it up, seeing a little bit more about what John Wayne's up to kind of lower the amount of noise coming out of the airport, you can go to ocair.com. Again, that's ocair.com. And Chair, I think that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Areth. Commissioner Rojas, any comments tonight?
I have none, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Vivar.
No comments tonight, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Toller.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Russell.
Just a quick one, an invitation. The Costa Mesa Alliance for Better Streets is giving away bike lights for 3 nights. Tomorrow night from 5 to 7 on Placentia and 19th Street. Thursday night at Harbor and Wilson. And the last one is, give me a second here. I will be at the one tomorrow night and Thursday night, and then to following Tuesday on August 30th at Baker Street and Bristol. It's from 5 to 7. Come down, you can get a front white light and a red light for the back. Make our streets a little safer. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Zick.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, just another compliment for Public Works. So the work on Randolph, the new signal, the parking, the angled parking in the median down the center of Randolph and all that seems to be functioning really, really well. And I've heard very good comments about it when I've gone over to one of my favorite breweries to have a beer. And it seems to be functioning really, really well. So I just want to compliment the team members for designing that and the way it was engineered and how it's come together. It's really nice, really nice.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, thanks to our Transportation Services Division as well for
absolutely.
This. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so we'll close out commissioner comments. We have no matters on the consent calendar this evening. So that will take us to public hearings and public hearing item number 1. Anna, please.
Public hearing item number 1, Planning application 21-18 for a retail cannabis storefront business with delivery located at 2710 Harbor Boulevard, Stizzy. Please note that we have received public comments on this item that have been provided to the commission and made a part of the record. This is a call for any ex parte communications.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Arith, any ex parte communications report?
Thank you, Chair Dirickle. Yes, I do. I believe it was on Friday. I held a conference call with Amy Gammon and Cyrus Pye for approximately 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Rojas?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, Commissioner Vivar?
I exchanged one email with the applicant's representative.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Toller?
Nothing to report.
Okay, Commissioner Russell?
Yes, I had a phone call this afternoon with the applicant's representatives.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair.
I received an email from the applicant's representative, but did not have a chance to respond.
Thank you, sir. I also received an email Friday from the applicant's representative inquiring if I had any questions about the application. I told her I did not at that point, and I have not had any subsequent communication. So with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Nguyen.
Thank you, and good evening, Chair D'Arco and Commissioners. My name is Nancy Nguyen, Senior Planner with the Economic and Development Services Department. The item before you tonight is Planning Application 21-18, which is a request for a conditional use permit, or CUP, to establish a retail cannabis dispensary with delivery, and that is a state license Type 10. The Type 10 license also allows for retail delivery. The proposed name for the applicant tonight, the storefront's proposed name is Stizzy. Just a quick refresher, the applicant has successfully completed the initial steps of the cannabis application process, which includes the pre-application as well as the CBP, before they submitted the CUP application. So if the CUP is approved tonight, the applicant would continue on to the remaining steps, including issuance of a CBP. So as mentioned, the proposed storefront with the delivery is located at 2710 Harbor Boulevard. The subject property is zoned C1, which is the local business district commercial zone. The existing development on this property consists of an approximately 11,300 square foot single-story commercial building with a shared parking lot located at the front of the property. The property is surrounded by other commercially zoned properties, and directly abutting it is the Harbor at Mesa Verde, which is an existing apartment complex with about 300 units, or over 300 units. The proposed storefront would occupy the entire commercial building. So here are some site photos of the existing property, which shows the current condition of the vacant building, as well as the parking lot. The previous tenant at this building was Pier 1 Imports, who actually occupied the building since it was originally constructed in 1969. Pier 1 closed down in 2020 during the pandemic, and the building has been vacant since then. The top image is the site plan, which shows the existing site is generally in good condition, with the parking spaces already compliant with the parking design standards, and also includes existing site landscaping. The parking and landscaping is considered legal non-conforming though. However, the applicant does propose to improve the landscaping along the front facade to feature drought-tolerant plants. The existing surface parking lot as well as the driveways are all shared through a recorded agreement with the commercial properties directly to the north and south, and that image is below the site plan, which shows you all of the property that shares the parking as well as the ingress. And that includes 2790, 2750, 2730, the subject site, and 2706 Harbor Boulevard. The loading and unloading area for the delivery and the vendor vehicles would be located directly behind the building. And that area was actually also used as a loading area by Pier 1 Imports. So the proposed floor plan includes two major areas, the retail sales area and the back of the house. The retail sales is showed in green with the public entrance at the front of the building. And then the back of house areas is all shown in red with the employee-only entrance located at the rear of the building. The applicant proposes some minor improvements to the existing building, but mainly being new paint and signage. Many of the improvements will actually be to the interior of the building in order to create the back of the house areas, including a new storage room. So the applicant did provide a detailed business plan that was evaluated by the city's cannabis consultant, HDL. As a reminder, it's not attached to the staff report since it does contain proprietary details. However, the business plan describes the owner's professional experience, proof of capitalization, pro forma, and their day-to-day operations. The applicant also provided a professionally prepared security plan, which was also reviewed by HDL, who determined that the appropriate security measures were included to address the city and state requirements. Like other CUPs for cannabis storefronts that Commission has reviewed, this one also has more than 50 standard conditions of approval related to Measure Q uses. For example, on-site consumption is prohibited, age restrictions, compliance with state regulations, and CBP renewal. In addition to that, staff also proposed site-specific conditions to ensure compatible land uses with the abutting residential and surrounding commercial properties. And that includes the trash enclosure design and location, posting signs within the parking lot to remind customers or vendors to use consideration when entering or leaving the facility, limiting the hours waste can be disposed of in the exterior trash enclosure, and lastly, requiring bicycle racks and lockers inside the facility for employees and bicycle racks on the exterior for customers. So with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution to find that the project is categorically exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, per CEQA Guidelines Section 15301, and as well as approve Planning Application 21-18, subject to conditions of approval. This does conclude my staff's presentation. The applicant has also prepared a presentation for the Commission tonight, and we're both available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Nguyen. Commissioner Arith, do you have questions of staff?
Thank you, Chair. I do not.
Commissioner Rojas?
No, sir, I do not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Vivar, do you have questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a couple of questions. So in reading the staff report, which was very thorough, by the way, so thank you to staff for that, there was information there about the driveway that would be used for the loading area, so that is that driveway access controlled by a gate? Because I think it said that it would be off limits for the public or something.
The driveway are existing. They are not access controlled. The
Okay.
Doors to at the rear of the building would be access controlled.
Mm-hmm. Regarding the proposal for the internal employee bike racks, do we know how many bikes that would accommodate?
Give me 1 second. It's I
Sure,
believe it's
no
in the
problem.
condition, but of course,
Yeah,
I don't
no
have a copy in
problem.
front of me.
Let's see.
Thanks, Commissioner. Okay. I knew it was in the condition. I just had to get a copy of it.
Yeah,
So
no
it's for a
problem.
minimum of 4 employee bicycles.
Okay. I guess my last question is regarding the garbage disposal area. So, would they be using the same garbage disposal that would have been used by Pier 1 imports, or will they need a new garbage disposal area?
They would be building a new trash enclosure, but it would be in the general same location as it previously was.
Okay. All right. No more questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, staff.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Toller, do you have questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Russell?
No questions.
Okay, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet.
A couple of questions. Thank you for the presentation as well, Ms. Nguyen. On the first page of the staff report, there's the indication that this applicant has partnered with an existing cannabis manufacturing distribution business in the Measure X zone. And that's one of the criteria we use for evaluating the priority of processing these applications. Is it HDL or someone else at staff that validates the ownership percentages of this business and their partner business?
Yes, Commissioner Zick. So when, yes, as one of the application for any ones that partner up with the Measure X, existing Measure X business, we do double check the ownership, Measure X ownership.
And what is the name of the existing business that is the partner?
Nature's Market.
Okay, thank you for that.
Vice Chair, if I may, I just wanted to clarify one thing as well. In terms of the order of processing, the applicants that were essentially had ownership of 51% or greater were allowed to apply approximately 30 days ahead of the window opening, where I think that's probably a more accurate way of characterizing it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I think I was aware of that, but you said it better than I had it memorized. Okay, so on the second page of the staff report, the indication that the existing FAR is essentially double what the maximum is for the site. Do you have an understanding of the history as to how that came about? Or when maybe the FAR was changed in the code? Or was it simply developed twice what was allowed at the time it was built?
Thanks, Commissioner Zick. Yeah, the project site was developed in the 60s, the late 60s, 1969, and the general plan FAR requirements occurred in 92. So they did occur. The development was created prior to that requirement.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that. Because that kind of ties in a little bit to the parking situation. And when you, Ms. Nguyen, when you were talking about the shared parking arrangement and you had the map up, which is also in our staff report on page 9, and you were citing the various addresses involved, I may have heard you incorrectly. I want to make sure I understand it. I didn't hear you mention 2710, which is the rightmost property, but I did hear you mention 2706, and I'm assuming that's the bank. And so my real question is whether the bank at the corner is part of this entire site's shared parking agreement.
There's a mislabel on the my little pretty image here. 2710 is the subject site, which is the yellow border.
Okay.
The far right one is 2706.
Okay.
But to answer your question, the bank site is not a part of the shared parking agreement.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. I parked in front of 2706 when the bank parking has been full, so I was curious about that. Haven't done it lately, though. And then I think my last question would reference page 11 of the staff report. There's a paragraph that deals or addresses the proximity to residential. And immediately after that paragraph, there is a statement that says to ensure neighborhood compatibility. And then it cites 3 bullet points of conditions that apply to the project. And I recognize the first 2 as being conditions that have applied to every retail cannabis application that we have looked at. So is the 3rd bullet new or specific to proximity to residential?
It is specific for this project, but it was also a condition of approval for the location at 1921 Harbor, which was also directly abutting residential.
Got it. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have no questions, so we'll open the public hearing and ask the applicant to come forward, please. And what I would do is ask you to state your name and address for the record, ask if you have read the conditions of approval and if you agree with them.
Yes, I do.
Will you pull the microphone down to your, there you go.
My name is Tox Sada, representing the Shrine Group and Stizzy Costa Mesa. I have read the conditions and I approve.
Excellent. The floor is yours if you have a presentation.
Good evening, Planning Commission, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present tonight. My name is Tox Sato. I'm the president of Shrine Group, the owner of the applicant, Stizzy Costa Mesa, for the proposed location at 2710 Harbor Drive Boulevard. I'm here with our co-owner, Miram Magadam, and Shrine's Director of Development, Cyrus Pai. Next slide, please. A little background on the Shrine Group. We are the largest cannabis operator in California by revenue, store count, and total cannabis operations. We're also the most experienced cannabis operator in California with over 2.5 million transactions and have firsthand expertise in operating a store in a high-density area without causing a nuisance to our surroundings. Next slide, please. A little background on our owners. Our founder, James Kim, who is an Orange County resident, is an Iraq War disabled veteran, and he founded our company in 2018 to help other veterans cope with PTSD and pain management. I am the president and co-owner. With over 6 years of cannabis experience and my experience as an attorney, I will help ensure that our operations are 100% compliant. Our co-owner, Miram Magadam, is also a seasoned cannabis veteran with a manufacturing facility in Costa Mesa since 2020. Next slide, please. We are proud to be unionized with the UFCW. We are the largest cannabis employer in California with over 2,300 jobs, and we will create at least 35 new jobs with this location. We provide full medical benefits and an employer-funded pension plan to all our employees. Retail employees at this location will make between $17.50 to $24.50 an hour prior to tips, with managers making between $70,000 to $80,000 per year. We also provide workforce development classes taught by Los Angeles Trade Tech College to all our employees, which translate into college credits, which are transferable to junior colleges and four-year universities. I'll turn it over to Cyrus.
Yes, sir. Your name, please.
Cyrus Pai.
Very good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Talk. Next slide, please. We are requesting a use permit for a cannabis storefront retail with delivery. Operational hours will be from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and this will be for a recreational license. The pictures on the right of this slide show context of our site in the shopping center and in the neighborhood. After Measure Q was passed, we spent a lot of time trying to secure the right location, and we found that in the former Pier 1 store at 2710 Harbor. The characteristics we were looking for were being not directly next to single-family residential, access to ample parking, and a separate access for delivery operations. The existing 11,270 square foot store building is part of a larger shopping center that shows approximately 278 parking spaces, 33 of which are on our parcel. Vehicular and pedestrian access is maintained through agreements that were recorded when the land was originally developed in 1968. We share parking with all parcels highlighted in yellow in the diagram on the slide, and the access agreement covers the Citibank parcel as well. To the north of our store is Coco's Bakery. To the south is a multi-tenant building. Across the street to the east, there's an apartment community, and across Harbor Boulevard is another retail shopping center. Our proposed use is conforming to the C1 zoning and the intent of the commercial general plan designation. Next slide, please. We are not making any structural additions or changes and repurposing the existing vacant building. We plan to do modest landscape improvements with California native drought-resistant plants, lighting upgrades, creating a new trash enclosure on our site, along with repainting the exterior. The only retail customer access point will be on the west side of the building facing harbor, and separate delivery, ingress-egress in the rear of the building. Next slide, please. The photometric study shown in this slide shows that we will have adequate lighting throughout the parcel. The wall packs and lighting on the pole will be upgraded to new LED lighting. We will not have any excess light spillage to the parcels next to us. Next slide, please. Parking and traffic management is extremely important to us. We take great care in making sure our customers have an efficient, safe experience, and we are good neighbors. We have experience operating retail in very constrained areas such as Union Square in San Francisco and downtown Los Angeles to more suburban shopping centers such as Astoria and Wildomar. In analyzing the existing conditions, the agreements in place, and talking with neighbors, we are confident that parking will not be an issue. City staff observation that at no time when they visited the shopping center were there under 120 available parking spots supports this. When we spoke with Coco's and many other businesses surrounding us, their peak business hours tend to be in the mornings, and our peak business hours tend to be in the evenings, so parking demand will be very cohesive. We have discussed scenarios with a third-party parking and traffic management company that we used called Concierge Car Wash and Valet, who does traffic and parking management for us at some of our Southern California stores, but also for other quality retail operators such as Westfield Shopping Mall and Cheesecake Factory. Concierge is properly insured and employs qualified and trained parking attendants. Looking at our site, there are two main points of ingress-egress, and that should minimize any traffic pinch points. We will likely place traffic attendants close to both of these points of ingress-egress to guide traffic to the closest available parking spot. Next slide, please. We plan to have approximately a 6,981 square foot retail floor. The retail floor is the only portion of the premises where customers will have access, as can be seen in the diagram on this slide. There's a significant back of house that includes a delivery staging area, employee break room, separate security office, and secured inventory room. We also plan to add bicycle parking for employees inside our building as well. Next slide, please. Before customers enter the premises, a security guard or employee will do a quick ID check. After that, the customer will get to the reception check-in area where the ID will be checked through a state-compliant system. After that, they will be allowed to enter the sales floor. Proper line management will be used to optimize the sales floor, and once they arrive at the POS, a retail associate will assist them in making a purchase and check their ID one more time. At no time will customers be allowed to physically touch product after a sale is made, as product is always behind a secure glass enclosure. This design and procedure has led to zero thefts and compliance infractions from our operational retail stores. Additional security measures include panic buttons throughout the premises and security cameras throughout the interior and exterior, and at least 2 guards on the premises during operational hours. Delivery drop-offs and pickups will happen in the rear of the building, and there's a separate ingress-egress. We have a centralized dispatch operator at our headquarters that ensures multiple drivers will not be doing pickups or drop-offs at the same time. Next slide, please. In addition to physical security upgrades that we will be doing, there's a very tight security process that we have put in place to ensure no thefts and customers and the neighbors are safe. We will always have at least 2 security guards during the day and at least 1 overnight. Our camera system has up to 90-day playback, which police will always have access to. In addition, we have 24/7 CCTV monitoring off-site that helps augment our guards on the premises. Due to federal and state regulations, we currently are unable to provide consistent debit card transactions, so transactions are cash. We have ATMs in the premises past security, and we always use armored vehicles and guards when cash is moved in and out of the premises. Next slide, please. We take great pride in our quality interiors. Here are a couple of sample build-outs, including our stores in Los Angeles and Pomona. Next slide, please. All our retail stores' HVAC systems are upgraded with a carbon filtration system. This prevents any odors from being noticed outside. We also have a standard operating procedure to check that our inventory is properly packaged and sealed so there is no odor seepage from packages. 2 employees are required to walk outside the store twice a day to confirm there are no odors outside as well. Next slide, please. Community engagement and input is important to us. We held 2 open houses at our proposed location. For each open house, we sent mailers notifying all neighbors within a 500-foot radius. These open houses were a great opportunity to introduce our company to the neighbors and the community. We also canvassed the neighborhood, speaking directly to both businesses and residents. As a result, we were able to get over 70 signatures of support from residents and businesses such as Gina's Pizza, Firehouse Subs, and Pickup Sips, some of whom are here to speak today in support of our proposal. Next slide, please. A little bit about the community benefits we do. We as a company have given almost $2 million in statewide contributions. We've also made contributions to local and regional foundations and nonprofits, such as Power of One Foundation, OC Food Bank, and Illumination Foundation. In addition, all employees are given paid time off to volunteer through our program called Joint Efforts. They organize support for local events and cleanups. A lot of these volunteer efforts will be coordinated by Amy Gammon, one of Shrine's earliest employees, and a Costa Mesa resident as well. Next slide, please. We appreciate your consideration of our proposal and are here to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir, very much for your presentation. Commissioner Arith, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Thank you, Chair. I don't believe I have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Rojas.
No, sir, I don't. Thank you.
Commissioner Vivar.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for your presentation. I do have a couple questions. So you seem to have a lot of experience operating cannabis businesses, as I can tell by your presentation. And I can tell this site here is, like you said, an interesting one. It's along Harbor Boulevard. You know, it'll get noticed, but it's also a pretty big site. So I was wondering, are there other sites that compared to this in terms of square footage that you operate, and how do you operate a site so big successfully?
Sure. Thank you for your question. So we do have a couple sites that are comparable, not quite as big, but for example, our Pomona location is around 7,000 square feet. Our downtown Los Angeles location is around 8,000 square feet. We have two locations that we're building out right now. One in Corona, which will be 12,000 square feet, and one in Fairfield, which will be around 11,000 square feet. And so, other than I actually believe it'll be easier for us to operate at this larger location because we have a couple locations that are small, on the smaller side, between 1,500 to 2,500 square feet. And just from a security perspective, when it gets very crowded, it's harder for the security guards to have a plain line of sight. It's also, during COVID also, it was not optimal to have that many people, crammed into a smaller location. As far as our larger locations, we have never had any sort of issues directly related to the sheer size of a store. Again, we only see positives in the fact that there will be less wait time for our customers, better security for our security guards, and a faster turnover. So that would mean that as far as parking issues are concerned, there'll be a lot less issues or potential issues because the size and the POS systems and the number of employees, if necessary, can accommodate large numbers of people, thereby increasing the turnover in the customer traffic. Thank you.
So you never have issues where your larger sites have so much customer traffic that can become safety concerns. Since I think you are going to have 2 guards for this site, right? But I imagine that even for 2 experienced and trained guards, managing this site, but might be challenging. But I mean, I don't know, if you think you can pull it off, it's great. My other question is regarding your outreach to residents. So would you mind detailing a bit more as to what your outreach was to the adjacent apartment complex? Was the mailer in English and Spanish, or just English? And how many residents were you able to speak with, either through the site visits, knocking on doors, or through your little come and see event that you held?
So we sent mailers out in English within the 500-foot radius. We sent them out for twice, both the open house we held in May and June. We did have a Spanish speaker present at the open houses. And we also, we did direct canvassing. We talked with neighborhoods, our neighbors, local businesses, knocked on doors. And yeah, that's more or less the outreach.
So do you know how many resident signatures you got on your?
Each open house, we had probably 30 to 40, I'd say, folks come out and support. We had refreshments there, and it was just, it was an informal conversation about, our proposal. People had some detailed questions on cannabis, and also operational questions. And then we also had a barcode for folks to sign or to scan in their phone, and then that opened up kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you scan a menu, people were able to sign support for our proposal.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Toller, any questions?
No questions. Thank
Okay, Commissioner Russell
No questions, thank you.
and Vice Chair Zick.
I just have two questions. Could you flip back to page 12 of the presentation? So I was curious about this photo in the upper right, this kind of zigzagging thing. Is that really something you use in your store? People queue up there and I guess wait for a representative to help them?
Yes, this is actually taken from a real store. Depending on how busy the location is, this is not something we use at all our locations, but this does at our location, especially during peak hours. For example, Pomona is one of our busiest stores. We do use this basically a line.
Nothing for them to look at while they're in line, just...
Well, there's some educational TVs, and I think people are just very excited to be in line to be able to purchase our products.
Okay. All right. And then second question. So you're partners with this Measure X business. Do you have any idea, or can you estimate what percentage of the products that you're going to sell in this store come from them?
We have not agreed on an exact percentage, but we have agreed in writing to significant shelf space. And so if we've had partnerships like this in the past, and what we typically do is allow shelf space, and if they sell out and if they sell very well, then we will provide even more shelf space. And the agreement with Mr. Magodan is that if in fact it doesn't sell as well as we were hoping, then we might cut down on the shelf space. And so optimally, a large percent of the products will eventually be his that are sold, but we can't foresee the demand for his products. We hope that it's very high, up to 10-15%. At the same time, if his products do not sell well, we do have an agreement that we can't, we have to cut back on the shelf space, for example.
And did the partnership get established by them buying 50% of your business or by you buying 50% of their business?
It's a little bit complicated, but it's more us buying their business through agreeing to pay for the entire build out and the process up to the grand opening, which we estimate, given the size of the store, could be upwards of around $3 million. And so I guess you could look at it as us buying half the business for $3 million.
So you have an ownership stake in their business greater than 50%?
No, I mean, they have 51%, we have 49%.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I have one question. Are your on-site security guards armed?
Yes, they will be armed.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll open the public comment portion of the public hearing. Anyone in chambers wishing to speak to this item, please come to either podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Matt Bell. I'm Secretary Treasurer of United Food and Commercial Workers Local 324, and we represent the workers at STIZI at the Shrine Group. Shrine Group is the biggest cannabis company in California and employs over 1,200 members of UFCW. And I'm here to share my firsthand experience of working hand in hand with the Shrine Group. Shrine Group is represented by UFCW locals from the Bay Area to Los Angeles and to the Inland Empire. UFCW Local 324 currently represents a Shrine retail location with over 25 workers in the city of Wilmington. Over this time, we've witnessed the commitment and compassion Shrine Group has for its employees and the communities they serve. They're not only good neighbors and a responsible retailer, they reinvest in the community by supporting key organizations that serve the needs of the community and surrounding communities. They are an example of how responsible cannabis operators are able to play a part in bringing good jobs and transforming communities. We know this because we are partners in these communities alongside them. In addition, Shrine has made the commitment to hire locally here in Costa Mesa, and through their cooperation with UFCW, will provide workforce training programs, guarantee high wages, union or health benefits, and a pension to its employees. So I strongly encourage the City of Costa Mesa to improve Shrine Group's planning application for a cannabis retail storefront at 2710 Harbor Boulevard, Costa Mesa. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, you're up.
Hello, my name is Jason Piazza. I am a lifelong resident of Costa Mesa and a passionate advocate for legal cannabis. I'm also a parent to 3 young children who attend school in this great city of ours. As a Mesa Verde resident who frequents this area often, I am 100% supportive of having a legal dispensary at this location, and I'm excited to have Shrine, a well-regarded and respected cannabis operator, coming to this center. Here are a few reasons, among many, why this location is an ideal spot for a cannabis dispensary. The excellent parking and ingress and egress. I personally can't think of a more apropos location than this for a cannabis retailer when it comes to access and ease of parking. I'm also not concerned with any potential negative impacts to the surrounding businesses or residents. Quite the opposite, actually. Shrine's loyal clientele will increase traffic to the neighboring businesses, and their peak hours of operation are off hours of many of their neighbors. Considering the increase in homelessness Costa Mesa has been experiencing, the neighboring businesses and residents will see an added benefit with the increased security offered by a reputable legal cannabis retailer. And of course, this could be a great place for the nearby OCC students to gain employment. I fully support this operator at this location, and I look forward to shopping there soon. Thank you for your time, and thank you for embracing cannabis.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak to this item, please come forward.
Right here.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Wade Leith. I'm also a resident of the Harbor Mesa Verde. I'm not really here to speak so much on the numbers that STIZI and Shrine Group have. I mean, they speak for themselves. They've been in business for years. They have locations that are bigger, some are smaller. And I'm here to speak about what they really represent for our neighborhood and with this mass exodus of all these businesses that have left that particular space across the street and on the four-way light there. We've probably had a mass exodus of like 6 businesses over the last 2 years. I know COVID was a big part of that, but even after COVID and everything got back to normal, the businesses are still deciding to leave. So when we received the mailer and to find out that it's STIZI of all the cannabis groups, which is the #1 retailer and the best quality retailer that's out there, and that's coming from someone who's had seizures since they were 13 years old. And I've been on cannabis since I was 21 years old. My Uncle Paul had seizures before me, and he let me know early, and I'm 48 years old, so this was a long time ago. He let me know early the benefits of cannabis for epilepsy. So to dial it back again, they represent, he says 35 jobs, but it represents something for our community. I'm a father. My daughter will be in college next year. She's a cheerleader at Costa Mesa High School, and it gives the people around here an opportunity to have a company that's going to invest not just in a building or in a parking lot, but in the neighborhood and in the people that come to shop with them. And that investment needs to be, that investment is 100%, and we're 100% behind them for coming to invest in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Nicole Lloyd. I live at Agilon, a senior complex right across the street where they would be located. I am totally against this. All this stuff about this is so great and blah, blah, blah. This isn't LA. Armed guards and cash and all that. I don't care who smokes pot or buys it. There are several places around here that you can buy it that aren't in a neighborhood. There's $1 million homes down here. We live in a community that is fairly conservative, and we like it quiet. We have had people jumping over our fences from 7-Eleven, where all the drug addicts hang out, and the homeless. They haven't done their homework as much as they say they have, because I haven't seen any open houses that they held, going door to door. That usually doesn't happen because most of the community is gated. But I cannot imagine this type of store coming in Costa Mesa. I just can't see it. And I lived in Santa Monica for 20 years, and there was all kinds. But this is not something that we need, not something at all. And I'm shocked that you guys would really want to have something like this come here. It's not the place. Go in some other area that's more industrial. There is a great place over on off the 55. I've bought gummies before. You can buy whatever you want, but just not here next to Coco's, next to a children's dentist store, and we're going to have to worry about armed guards. For God's sake, what's next? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kamran, and I'm a resident of Costa Mesa. I'm speaking in support of Stizzy because they have a great location on Harbor with plenty of parking for their customers. On a personal note, I'm a working professional, and I use cannabis recreationally and responsibly. I would love to not have to drive to Santa Ana and other areas to spend my hard-earned money, and would much rather that tax revenue go to supporting my hometown of Costa Mesa. I eat and shop on Harbor every week, and it would be very convenient to buy cannabis down the street from where I shop and run errands. I personally believe it's a safe industry that can bring many benefits to our city as well as its residents, as long as it's managed well and done correctly. And I think Stizzy has a proven track record of doing that. So I ask all of you to please allow Stizzy to open a store in Costa Mesa. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in chambers wish to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none. Anna, do we have anyone on Zoom or by telephone?
No, we do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Sir, you coming forward to speak? Okay, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Greg Johnson. I live in Newport Beach, been there since 1973, and I own the property at 2710 Harbor Boulevard. I did an exchange, bought a piece of property, sold what I had in Los Angeles, and I bought this property. Of course, Pier 1 was in there, as you know, and then they went belly up, and so I put the place up for lease, and I had two very large cannabis companies that were, for some reason, quite interested in this property. As everybody told you, I think it's a good site, but I was surprised that there was that much interest in that, in my property. But I did a lot of research about Shrine Group, and they are, as you've been told and all the details, that they are in the business. They've been in business a long time. They have a lot of buildings, and to my knowledge, I've been to a couple of their buildings. There hasn't been problems. The buildings are well taken, well guarded, well lit. I personally go, since this building has been empty for whatever it is, a couple of years, I go to this property, I'm retired, and I go to this property almost every day. I deal with graffiti artists, I deal with homeless, I deal with Costa Mesa Police, have been very helpful. But I'm an expert at taking care of the graffiti because this building has been tagged probably 25 times. And I just go out there and take care of it myself. I'm retired. Anyway, I just believe that the Shrine Group is an experienced company, and they're going to put in lots of security, additional lighting, and I know about what's happened to the property right next door. I'm very familiar with the management company there. They've hired a guard service, and they will have Shrine will have their own guard service, and I think they're going to watch over the whole thing myself. That's all I basically can say, but I wish you well.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Can we have no one remote?
Allison, you may provide your public comment.
Hi, thank you so much. I believe we're speaking on the item of the dispensary approval. I just want to make sure I'm in the right context. Sorry.
This is public hearing item number 1. It's for the property on Harbor Boulevard.
Okay. I will abstain from commenting.
Well, then if I would point out, because I know some people came in chambers after the beginning of the meeting, public hearing item number 2, which is the 17th Street property, has been continued and will not be heard tonight to a date uncertain. So,
got it. Thank you.
Okay, and that hearing will be renoticed to the community.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Okay, anyone else?
No, we do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll close public comment then. Bring it back up to the dais. Are there any questions of staff or the applicant from anyone on the dais? Seeing none, Commissioner Arith, any final comments, or rather questions?
None, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Rojas?
None, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing then, and the chair is going to make a motion to find that the project is categorically exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act per CEQA guidelines section 15301, class 1 existing facilities, and approve planning application 21-18, subject to findings in Exhibit A and conditions of approval in Exhibit B. And is there a second on the motion?
Second, Arith.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Arith. Comments on the motion? Vice Chair, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be supporting the motion. I'm supporting the motion because the voters of the city approved retail cannabis via Measure Q in November 2020. And the voters spoke. People had an opportunity to vote, and that is the result. The city council worked very hard putting in place an ordinance that would affect the implementation of what Measure Q decided. And this application, in my mind, meets the findings that have been set out and deserves the support I plan to give it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Arith, any comments on the motion?
No comments, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Rojas?
No, sir.
Commissioner Vivar?
Yes, sir. I have comments. I too will be supporting the motion. And I will be backing my support with the land use element to policies that I'd like to bring to the attention of my colleagues on the commission, and that is LU 6.2, which talks about the continued revitalization of existing commercial centers that serve local and regional needs. And I believe that approving this application will do so for this area and this building. Land use element policy LU 6.9 says that we should encourage new businesses while retaining existing businesses in the city of Costa Mesa. And what happened here is a business that was there for a long time, clearly, was not able to make it during the difficulties of the beginning of the pandemic and left their city. However, having a business that, from testimony provided and the track record that was mentioned, will be a good steward of the site, is a great thing for the city, and that we will now have the site occupied, and that they will be contributing towards the city's financial wellness. So I believe that the land use element supports this decision, and so I shall be supporting the motion for approval. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Toller, you have any comments on the motion?
Just real quick, Mr. Chair, just thank you for the presentation. Thank you, staff. I am in support of the motion. I agree with my fellow commissioners that Measure Q was passed by the voters. The City Council and staff worked hard through a transparent process to implement this measure. And at the end of the day, this is a store moving into an existing building. That's all it is. It's a new store that's going to give a facelift and bring some activity to a vacant space in an old strip mall. I can't think of any reasons why the government should get in the way of that. I agree with staff that the findings required by the zoning code and the general plan can be made. I don't think this is going to be a nuisance to anyone or anything. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell.
No comments except to say thank you to the staff and to the applicant for their excellent presentations.
Okay, and I just want to compliment the applicant and kind of use you as an example on future applicants on how you do it. This is clearly an operator that has immense experience throughout California, knows how to set these up, knows how to run them, knows how to run the business. And what I really appreciated about your presentation and listening to you is you took no detail for granted. You didn't assume the community was automatically going to support you just because we approved an ordinance that allows retail cannabis. You went out and you did the legwork in the community, a ton of approvals, letters. You crossed the street and talked to the businesses across the street. And that's just how you do it. You don't assume anything coming in, that because we're experienced and we're the biggest in California, that the community should just accept us by pro forma. You did all the legwork and you took nothing for granted, and I really, really appreciate that. And I hold you as an example to other applicants on how they should do it. And don't just assume that this commission is rubber stamping these applications. We're not. We want to see good, solid companies who care about the community that they're going to do business in, and care about their customers and care about their employees. And you clearly demonstrated that you do all of those things. So with that, I will ask Anna to call the roll, please, on the vote.
Chair DeArco?
Aye.
Vice Chair Zick?
Aye.
Commissioner Rojas?
Aye.
Commissioner Toller?
Aye.
Commissioner Russell?
Aye.
Commissioner Vivar?
Aye.
Commissioner Arith?
Yes.
That motion carries 7-0.
Okay. So, so that decision is final in 7 days unless appealed to the City Council. So, folks, thank you for coming to Costa Mesa and good luck. Okay, let chambers clear out a little bit, and then we'll move to staff reports. Okay. Make sure the doors get closed. Thank you. All right. Okay, so again, public hearing item number 2 was continued to a date uncertain. That takes us to department reports. Public Works report, Mr. Yang.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Derickle. Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the Planning Commission, good evening. So for the Public Works report, as Chairman Derickle mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, the traffic signal at Baker Street and Randolph Avenue is now fully functional and is serving its purpose well and directing traffic efficiently. Thanks to not only the engineering, but also the Transportation Services Division for their great help on making that successful. In addition to that, an update on the Wilson Street Improvement Project. The project's well underway. There's parkway construction work from between Placentia Avenue all the way to Newport Boulevard. So the street is quite busy with a lot of construction work going on, but it's all for the better. And the thing is, we'd like to ask everyone in the community to, if you can avoid that street, please do so. So that's it for the Public Works report. I defer back to the chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Development Services, Ms. Lee.
None this evening, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, City Attorney, any reports tonight?
No report this evening.
Okay, thank you, staff. Again, thank you very much. Ms. Nguyen, thank you. Mr. Drack and Ms. Lee, Mr. Preziosi, Ms. Rosales out in the audience is always here to help us with any traffic-related questions. We didn't need you tonight, but it's good to see you. We'll stand in adjournment to our regularly scheduled planning, and Anna, thank you very much. Really appreciate your work, I do. We will stand in adjournment to the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting of September 12th, 2022. Good night.